What's up, guys and gals? It's your host of the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega chapter 226, entitled Someone Waiting. Who is that someone? It's Boy M. Let's just spoil it right out of the gate. It is Boy M. Now, I'm just going to say this is going to be a short review. It's going to be short because fighting was okay. I like the chapter. We know that Agito is going to pull something out next chapter and stuff like that. It looks like we're coming to the end of the fight. And I understand that this is a clash of the Titans. On no uncertain terms. This is a literal clash of the Titans. However, and I know that this is not Ashura. This is Omega. This is not Cat. This is an exhibition match and stuff. But, I have seen Kano Agito take literal shots that looked way harder, way more devastating, and all he did was get white out pupils, a big Joker-like grin on his face, and keep smashing his way through the victory. Yes, I know he's had character development since then. Yes, I know he's increased his power since then. So, once again, it's a little jarring here. Like, when I stood back, when I read the chapter, I was like, yeah, okay, this is all happening. But I was sort of sitting back going, this is the fifth thing. This is Agito? An improved Agito, who already has formless and martial arts combined, which he does use this chapter to good effect. This is Agito. This is the fifth Fang. This is the man who was being smashed through, who fought against Okubo and Gao Lang and Hatsumi and Kuroki and stuff. Took all that damage. Fought the fourth Fang of Metsudo in between rounds. And still, like, really? This is that guy. I understand. I'm not trying to downplay Arashiyama. We all know that Meguro could not beat this guy. We know that Masaki cannot beat this guy. We know this. But, and you know, what happened in the Purgatory Tournament is something else entirely. We already talked about that. But, I'm not saying these blows aren't heavy. But they're from an untrained fighter in the art of blows. And I'm also not saying that smashing someone's head into the goddamn ground is not going to completely hurt like a bitch. But I've seen the Fang get his head smashed into the ground before. I've seen guys I've seen Wakatsuki get his against Julius. Like, you telling me Agito can't take this little bit of punishment? When I step back and look at the fight, I'm like, yeah, this is a good fight between two really strong opponents, both very equally matched. But then I realized he hasn't pulled out Dragon Shot. He just now pulls out Formless and stuff. They don't really bring up that they use Pre-Initiative or the Art of whatever anymore, the Fist Eye stuff. They don't really bring up that they're using it when they do. And once again, I've seen this guy take far worse of a beating than this. I don't care how heavy these blows are. I really don't. These blows should not be enough. They are not... These blows cannot be stronger than some of the blows he took in Ashura. They just... I don't know, man. Agito's supposed to have gotten stronger and better, and he is not the level he was in Cat. At least the way this could be an art style choice. It could be the way Omega has been portraying fights, not as brutal, not as crazy, you know, like people aren't taking these crazy level. Like this here on the floor, we see that Agito has definitely is concussed. He got a concussion from having his head slammed into the floor. Well, we know for a fact that almost everybody, I'll just straight up say it, just about everybody who participated in the Annihilation Tournament in the first manga should be dead. Literally nobody could take that amount of abuse. Most of those characters should have died. More characters should have died. The pain tolerance, the human body tolerance in Ashura was manga level. We're sort of, Omega is almost trying to go a little more realistic with a slam straight down to the head is going to, and even an untrained fighter up against a master, if he gets a good heavy hit off, which once again, should he have though? Should he have? Are we going to say that Arashiyama pre-initiative and the conception of intent or whatever. I always forget what they are. But the level he was at is as good or better than Agito's. You know what I mean? The dude who was able to match up with Kuroki Gensai's. I don't know. You know what I mean? So on its own, the chapter's not bad for an Omega chapter. But I made the mistake this week. I was just rereading some fights and stuff like that, hyping myself up for this fight, sort of refamiliarizing myself. So I read a couple of the Agito fights, just straight up out of context, just found a chapter where some round 1 and 2 started and stuff. And this Agito is far less intimidating, far less impressive. Once you go back and read, and maybe that was my mistake to do that in between 225 and 226. Maybe that's taken some of my enjoyment away from this fight. The rest of the chapter goes on fine. I don't agree with what is with everyone doing this naked chokehold? Nobody used that shit before. Why is everybody Cosmo all of a sudden? Why is everybody doing the behind the back and trying to choke everybody out now? When did our top tiers start doing that? I don't remember any of them ever doing that before. I remember Cosmo doing that shit. That was his whole shtick. So yeah, 2 fights in a row, both top tiers doing the same thing. Weird, especially when Agito had no reason to. Formless martial arts was working. He had no reason to do that to gain the upper hand. He was working. He could have just kept pummeling him with blows, using formless martial arts to dodge like he was doing, like the water kata shit that he was pulling off. So yeah, once again, this might be my mistake. I might have sucked some of the fun out of the chapter for myself by rereading some true greatness in the first series, and specifically reading some Agito fights, just to, I just had a little bit of time, you know what I mean, when you can't sleep sort of idea, and I was like, you know what, I want to read some, and I didn't want to go on Reddit and see what people were talking about. I said, no, I'll jump back to round 1 of the Annihilation Tournament and stuff, right, or round 2 and stuff. Just jump to a couple of the Fang fights. Back when I didn't appreciate him too, right? Upon a reread, I appreciate him a lot more, but I did not like him. I did not like the Fang as a character or as a plot device. And a lot of the tropes that went along with that when I first read the series. So going back and enjoying him, since I like his character now, which is my character development, I really wanted to reread some stuff, and so I think that was my fault. Because everything with Jotaro is fine here. The fact that he's sort of, he's trying out all these things and stuff like that, and then he does a very risky move because as he's starting to lose, and at the end of the chapter he's like, there's someone, I can't afford to lose sort of idea. So he's got a reason not to lose, because then he sees sort of in a hazy, vision-esque state, which we've seen many times for many characters. He sees... It's funny. It's looking more like Hayami, but it's Meguro. You know what I mean? Like, it's Meguro Masaki. It's not Masaki Hayami or Meguro Hayami. I forget which name does he take. Anyways. But he's in the gi and stuff like that, so it's quite funny which one he's picturing, but he refers to him as Meguro, so he still sort of envisions him as Boy M, as, that idea, and he's got the eyes gouged out and stuff, which we knew happened in the fight. So there's a lot of cool psychological shit going on there. The visuals were really nice for that, and the idea that he was just like, yeah, he goes, you really gonna lose right now, really? The guy who's my nemesis, you really gonna lose? So his subconscious has made him hallucinate a little bit here into this version, and he's like, absolutely not, and he chooses to pull off the risky move, and he slams both their heads back. Once again, both of them would be concussed by this, absolutely. Kano just took more damage, as Waka points out, and stuff like that. Once again, Agito, I don't think, should have ever put himself in that position. He was winning with formless plus martial arts, which we know he's basically perfected. Realistically, I don't think there's a much that Arashiyama can do against a fully concentrated formless martial arts. Realistically, it's something that Kuroki Gensai even stated in the Purgatory fight. If he closes that gap, that window that Kuroki took advantage of, Kuroki could have lost. You know what I mean? So the fact that we know Agito has closed that gap since, I'm just saying, Arashiyama cannot compete to that. Like, we're forgetting how broken some of these abilities are. You know what I mean? So, did I find the chapter enjoyment in the chapter? Yes. Especially as an Arashiyama fan, I enjoyed it, and I liked his direction, seeing, the Boy M stuff, the visuals were good, the idea that he's like, I cannot lose sort of idea, because we all sort of expect the Fang to win, especially with the announcement of that really bad tournament. But yeah, I'm just sitting here going, I don't know, man. I just don't know if Agito is really strutting the stuff that I expect from him. I expect him to look even cleaner than before, and he's not. I think this is one of his worst showcases of his ability and his power. You know what I mean? Like, this is the guy who would just take blows, and he used to do it to mock his opponents. He did it against Gao Lang, he did it against Okubo, he did it against Hayama. He did it against everybody because it was a mockery thing, you know what I mean? He would take unnecessary hits rather than go all out for fun. And I'm not saying that this guy isn't top tier and he's got to take him seriously, but by that logic, keep using formulas in martial arts, my guy. So anyways, that was my take. I think it was my mistake for reading some older fights first. I sort of ruined the enjoyment of this one slightly for myself. But as an Arashiyama fan, I enjoyed it. Since Omega started Agito fan, not his best showing, in all honesty. Even if he wins, Agito looks like he's gotten weaker, not stronger. Maybe that's just me. What do you guys think, though? Am I just batshit? Am I just a little out there? Am I expecting too much? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. We'll see you guys back here for the next chapter. Once again, not hating on the chapter per se, just feel like this could have been bigger and badder and better. Something's just not feeling. The blows just don't feel like they should be doing the level of damage that they're doing. Anyways, that's it from me. Have a good one, everyone. Sayonara.